Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the Youth Excellence Center. So welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to see so many youth here for the Youth Excellence Center. Our mission at YEC is to foster all of you with the ability to create excellence in our worlds. In other words, we want all of us to be social entrepreneurs. Those entrepreneurs, I know several of you said, you want to create some startups, but what we want to do is create startups that not only build wealth for us, but actually create more inclusive outcomes. In other words, create a better world for ourselves, both in our inner world and also the outer world. So what I'm going to do today is, number one, I'm going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes, to talk about, what is the framework, how we are going to conduct these workshops. And then I'm super delighted to have our hero, our first youth entrepreneur, Adam Lansing. And some of you, as you drove down, you must have seen the nice Beetles. And depending on the time, some of may get to see inside. I just actually took a drive inside. It was so cool. Beetles were never that much cooler, both inside out. So I'll have Adam reflect his own journey, what inspired him to take on the journey in the electric world. And then we'll actually see a demo of the car, and then we'll come back and look at his journey. Please take a seat. Yeah. So without much further ado, let me share my screen. The first and foremost is the YEC. YEC is all about the potential that all of us have. It's the latent potential that's in us. It's about youth excellence youth. All of us, regardless of our age, location, diversity, or whatever the labels that we have, all of us represent youth. And all of us represent excellence. That's our promise, and we are here to realize that potential within us. And before we do that, I would want to introduce a beautiful prayer or invocation. This is something from the ancient text. This is something that we always start with any learning process. And let me recite it, and I'm going to leave this as a homework for all of us to kind of go reflect on it, what is the meaning. So let me actually say this. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this is an age-old tradition. Whenever we are actually engaged in a process of learning, we are performing two roles, teacher and student. And it's actually, both of us are playing the two roles. Each one is a teacher and each one is a student. And what we are seeking the invocation here for is, may we both partner together in our journey of seeking and the learning. That's the first line. And then the second one is, may both of us be nourished with a lot of vigor and energy. And we're going to talk about Mihal's flow theory in one of the sessions, where we're going to deploy all the faculties that we have, our body, our energy, in the process to seek the excellence in the learning. So that's the commitment that we are going to make, that we're going to deploy all the faculties, our mind and the body and everything that we have to give our best in our learning, both the teacher and the student. And then the third one is very, very important. In this process, we also make a commitment that there is no hostility or a competition between us. Who is learning more? Who is learning less? We are not here to compete with ourselves. The only competition is within ourselves, because we are trying to get from where we are to a better state. And then ultimately, we all represent peace, the harmony within and harmony around. So this is an invocation that we all make at every process of learning. That's how we actually get to the process. And again, I just want to introduce this. Every workshop we're going to start with this, make this invocation, and then towards the end, I will also introduce you to one more of such invocation. And then why did we start YEC? And all of us are here because we want to be entrepreneurs, we want to be cool like Adam, and we want to build an electric car or whatever, and we're going to be super, super rich. But the key essence of why we started YEC is like there are two reasons. Number one is in today's world, particularly in the world of gadgets and the video games and social networks and so on and so forth, our mind, which is supposed to be the greatest source of strength for us, it is actually becoming more and more of a weakest link. So we are becoming a slave to our mind. So the first goal that we want to do is we want to empower all of us with the mind being the greatest asset. And this is what in the yoga philosophy, we basically is like we all have this power where we can actually achieve whatever we want to do, provided we actually have total control of our mind. In other words, we have intense concentration and intense meditation. If I'm building a startup, that is the only thing that we want to focus on. And then in the process, we lose our own identity, whatever we want to achieve. And that's also what Vivekananda says. You own one idea, whatever the company or the startup that you're building, and then make it be part of every cell in your body. And you become one with that. Then there is no two things. It's not like Srini is prosecuting that idea. Srini assumes the identity of the idea that you're trying to become. And when you actually cultivate your mind to that level, that success is guaranteed. So we want to empower all of us with where the mind has become the weakest link to be the greatest source so that we become the successful entrepreneurs. And then by being that, by cultivating that ability, and then the second problem that we have is there is growing divisiveness and inequality in the world. And for that, only entrepreneurs, I believe that only entrepreneurs are the ones that are capable of building better outcomes and restoring the balance and the equality. And that is what we are here for. We are going to build all the superpowers within us. And then we are actually going to set out and build companies that are going to build more equity and more inclusive outcomes. Not the outcomes just for the rich, not just outcomes for people in the United States, but more inclusive outcomes, because we are only, with the COVID, what did we learn? Our well-being is in the well-being of the people around us. And that is the truth. So we become the entrepreneurs and with the greatest ability with our mind, and then we are going to create this more inclusive outcomes. And then for that, what you're going to see in this camp is we're going to focus on some of the technologies, some of the innovations, some of the methodologies. But along with that, we also introduce some of the mind concentration improving exercises, so that actually trains your mind so that you actually focus on. And then we also learn about some of this oneness. We'll be introduce you to some of the inequalities in the world, like here or in India or in Africa. And then we are going to engage in a process on what might be a better experience that we can actually create to challenge these unfair status quos. And for this, this is a platform where every one of us, eventually, if you have a mastery in any one of the domain, like singing or music or some startups like what Adam in electric cars, he can be a provider, but at the same time, he can also be a seeker. If you would want to learn something else about a business plan, or if he wants to learn about yoga, he could actually participate. So we all can perform two roles. We can be an excellence provider or excellence seeker, like Uber. Take Uber as a greatest a startup idea. If you look at it, Uber, every citizen can be a driver or a rider. It's called a two-sided marketplace. So when we are designing startups, if we can actually make this as a two-sided marketplace where everybody can participate, the value just gets multiplied. And that's one of the concepts. So again, at YEC, we are designing that way. And very quickly, and we are going to come back to this in just a moment, what we are going to do is we are actually introducing a framework on how we are going to go through this process of learning about entrepreneurship. There are three muscles that we need to cultivate. One is a thinking muscle, right? And this is where we actually spot opportunities. This is the opportunities coming up with an idea. That's the thinking muscle. And then there is an execution. Once you have an idea, how do you operationalize it to go build a company? And then the third one is the most important thing. But we do that with more awareness, the self and the character, because some people are actually building startups or achieving excellence in Stanford and this stuff, but they're losing themselves. They're getting anxiety and other issues. For us to go achieve this superpowers of building a company, we can actually do that much more joyfully with all the capabilities of mind and focus and being in harmony with ourselves, because that's the most important thing. So we're going to focus on these three muscles, and then there are multiple offerings. And the first thing, today's exercise is, what is thinking? What is thinking? So here is a simple exercise. What we see here is, this is sight. You see a picture of a banana. So when you see this picture of banana, what does it represent for you? What does it represent for you? Because anybody, what comes to your mind? Fruit.
Nutrition.
Yeah. Nutrition. That's a good answer.
Nutrition that's affordable to most.
Mm-hmm. What else? So this is any information that we present, like when Adam presents his journey about the Beatles, that is what he is presenting. That is what your senses per se give you information. That's just an information. It's just a banana, it's a fruit, right? But then the insight is the one that actually gets deeper into it. What we need to cultivate is building an insight. The deeper meaning of any object, any classroom, or anything that we actually interact with, we need to develop an idea of an insight. The insight is this fruit of a banana went from, what does it actually there? Like, what Priya said is a nutrition, which is like, we need to actually go figure out anything that we interact with the world. What does it mean for me? What value does it have? Both positive or negative, right? What is the value, or what does it actually, like number one, one of the insights things could be like, it's delicious, it's sweet. Now it went from being a banana and a yellow color and the fruit to it's like, it's delicious. And then it's delicious, it's sweet and this stuff. But then the deeper thing is like, ultimately it's a food object. We're going to consume it. That means it's going to add some value to us. And that is when the nutrition comes in. Then we need to develop that insight of, okay, how is it valuable to me and the people around it? So we need to be able to understand the nutrition behind it, right? There is like a vitamins in this. This is the difference between sight and insight. We need to build this capability of building insights. If you watch any game or news piece or anything that you interact with, we need to cultivate is like, what does it mean for me and the people around it? This is the first insight. And then we basically get to outcomes. Now we went from fruit, yellow fruit, to it's delicious and sweet, and then it actually has this nutrition label. Now it knows what the ingredients are, how it can be, what it can do. Then what outcomes can it create for us? Right? If you eat a banana, it actually can regulate your blood pressure, it actually promotes healthy skin. These are now the healthy outcomes. Now, once we know what the outcomes are, we can actually incorporate a lifestyle, which is like, okay, how do we incorporate this particular fruit as part of my life experience? So anything that we are going to do in this workshop, we go from sight, which is the information, to insight, where we go deeper to understand what value, what is the nutrition that it has. And then we are going to move into the process of now how it can actually, this nutrition can help create better outcomes. So this is the first thinking muscle. And everything that we need to do, we need to come up with, like, the better thing is like, people that with diabetes, now because of the high sugar content, you can come up with like an outcome is, it's just like, okay, now this is not good for people with, common stuff. So this is the muscle that we're going to do. So now when Adam goes through the journey, what I would like us to go through the exercise is, Adam is like a banana, right? Whatever he shares is that. From there, we are going to build our own insights. And then from there, we basically come up with an outcomes. What are the new excellent experiences that we can actually create in our own world? Any questions on this? So this side to insight to outcomes. And then when you look at your world, this is a framework. Insights is where we look at the information. More importantly, we need to spot the ability of what are the unfair status quos. Like, for example, if somebody has a heart, some issue. Now, once you look at the banana, you went from sight to insight, and then outcome, which is like it regulates a better thing. So your unfair status quo is I have some kind of a heart ailment. Now you can actually create a better thing. And then what actions do you need to do is based on the banana. You basically like, I need to eat a banana every day. And then you can actually get a metric, which is like, am I eating a banana every day? So this is how we're going to quarterback designing excellence in our world, right? Our world consists of your personal being, your own self, your family, and then your work or school, and then the broader world. So most of the time we only operated one or the other ones. The thing is, we are all whole beings. Unless and until every one of them is in a perfect excellent state, we are not completely in excellent state. So we can actually build a 360 excellence. And the best part is we can actually profit from this, right? That's what an entrepreneurship is, right? By designing excellence and we profit from it, right? So that's kind of a quick overview.
Question, Srini.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that arrow between actions and outcomes, should it be bi-directional? Because actions can lead to outcomes and outcomes also trigger further actions.
No. Actually, so the thing here is you come up with insights, your current state, and then you design outcomes. From this, you design what actions, and then metrics, and then how well you're doing it. Based on the metrics, you again feedback to new insights and new outcomes. Okay, am I succeeding or am I not succeeding? Am I getting to the excellence outcome that I designed? And for that, you design new insights and new outcomes, and then you come back with a new action plan.
Okay, right? I get it. So it's from a design perspective, as in how we go about it. We start with insights, we decide what outcome we are working towards, and then we identify actions based on it.
So then you do the actions, and then you also need to come up with a measurement plan, right?
Yes.
Now, how am I going to measure that? Number one, the measurement is, am I succeeding in the action plan? Am I conforming to the action plan that I set out to? And then, am I getting closer to the outcomes that I designed for myself?
How effective they are in getting us closer to the goal, and if they need fine-tuning and so on.
Yeah, if you're not there, then again, you go back to your insights and outcomes. Why am I not able to do the action plan that I signed up for? And then why am I not getting into it? You come up with new insights and you design new outcomes, and then you repeat this process. It's a cyclical process, right? So let me stop that with that, and then let me have the honor and privilege to introduce, and now I can actually pretend that I'm young, my best friend and the youth entrepreneur, Adam.
Thank you.
So Adam, I've known Adam for now about 3 years, and my best friend, Brett, who is sitting in the back. Brett, I've known him for 4 or 5 years, and when I first met Brett during our professional engagement, and Brett said, you need to meet my son, and literally we met at a parking lot, and then Adam actually brought one of his beautiful things, but I don't want to tell any of the story. I'll let Adam reflect on his journey. The way we are going to do it is, first, let's get a little bit more of an excitement going. Perhaps, should we go do a quick demo and then come back and do the journey, and then we can again go back to the car? Should we do that? Yeah. Should we go and go look at the car and then get a little bit of an excitement, and then come back, and then otherwise it just becomes a slide wheel, right? Sure. Let's actually do some action. Okay.
I'm on Zoom and I'm missing her, but I hope somebody can, Kiran or someone can maybe make a recording for me on the phone and I can watch it later.
Yeah, I think
carry the thing. Yeah, and you go take it of things.
My first and only car was a bug, by the way. So I love bugs. So I'm very excited.
Hey, Kate, you want to take a look too, right?
This also gets us to be a tour of the YEC. So this is the
sorry.
And then they're actually going to name them based on the universal.
So I don't think we can flip the screen, right? I could actually join on my Zoom on my phone, Priya, and I show you. Right?
I think you can flip the screen, but try that. Otherwise, just make a recording. I'll watch it after the session. Don't worry too much about it.
Zoom link undara. Go back, not in this. One more email.
Just make a video recording, Kiran. I'll watch it later. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. చూడరా ఇది పట్టుకోలేకపోతే చూస్తే
Kiran, I can't see much. Is that because sharing is stopped? Srini, sorry to interrupt, but is anyone talking? Is Adam or you talking? I can't hear anything. You are muted.
Sorry.
Okay.
Actually, continue. Sorry. Okay, continue.
All right.
So the one aspect of this is what Brett and Adam were saying is, even there is an incident, he was all set out to feature on the jail, and then 3 months before there was an accident, and it's almost like, it was like, this is what happens. And in fact, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about the Tokyo Olympics. Some of our own athletes, because they were either not feeling well or they did not know whether they could win or something, and then they withdrew. But that is not the right way of doing it. You just have to, the universe actually throws at these obstacles to you to actually rediscover or actually discover your true power. So one of the character muscles that we are going to build is essentially like, when the obstacles come in, you don't get deterred by it. And then you just go do the right thing in the moment as an expression of happiness and an expression of joy. But don't set yourself up as like, this effort is only meaningful if my company goes into an IPO, or if I get into Stanford, or if I get into Leno. When Adam started it, he didn't probably have anything inside. It's just like his own passion. He wanted to make something out of it. Then the opportunities came. There's a UPS trophy, there's a Leno, there is something else, and he's featured in by the Toyota company here. And so all those things, the more we put our joy in achieving an outcome, then we actually not be joyful with ourselves. We need to enjoy the journey. We need to enjoy the process. I mean, I've been part of like 8 startups. And my most recent startup before I joined Apple, we had to change our direction 5 or 6 times. 5 or 6 times. Even for me to partner with Brett, it was not easy. I had to convince him so many times. And he was like, he never believed me actually. But we did whiteboarding and all that stuff, right? So we have to reinvent ourselves. So many things, the market conditions change, but we have to stay at it. And the world changes and we have to recalibrate it. So there are some great lessons. But for me, the image of, we all need to picture this, that we are the creators of a junkyard car to a Leno car. Junkyard to Leno, J to J, right? We can actually create the transformation in ourselves. Right? So please now reveal.
So at this point, I was, I think 19 or maybe almost 20 at the time. But the car was just in the best point it's ever been in. Was a joy to drive. It was fun. And this was kind of now my marketing piece and momentum for the business I wanted to start. So this was a really, really big part right here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So now this point was the toughest obstacle, probably the toughest one I've ever had. And this is, I was probably about less than a mile from the house. So we were just very, very close. But that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So this was the toughest obstacle that I had to face. We were T-boned. I was coming home. It was probably 9 o'clock at night, and just a mile from the house. And when I got hit here, and I knew how hard I got hit, it was like 45 miles an hour. Thank God I didn't even get a scratch on my body because the car was all, it's all built out of steel. I knew when I saw this that with my tools and the things I have at my disposal, that just was not going to be able to be fixed. Unfortunately, the city gave us like a 3-day deadline where we had to get rid of it in 3 days. So that was very, very difficult. I had to rip this entire car apart that I worked on for since I was 12, and it was almost 6 years now at the time. And pull all the old wiring out, all the components, all the batteries, pull everything apart and strip out everything I could from this car in one weekend. And that was really, really difficult. And, when we're talking about adversity, I mean, you're going to get situations probably similar to this. And at this point, I mean, I didn't know what to think for quite a while. I mean, mom and dad remember what that was like. And I mean, even to this day, I mean, it's still disheartening to, even look at that, but it did happen for a reason. And, it did work out for the best. This is my 96 Toyota Celica GT convertible. I took all the parts I took out of my original Celica and built them into this car with the same battery, same motor, basically everything's the same. Now this car is very interesting. It's a great car to drive. It's convertible. It's got, I ended up upgrading the Tesla batteries and they're right behind the rear seat. So when you're driving with the convertible down, people see the batteries, people just freak out. But what was really important about this car is that this had all of the features in place: air conditioning, heat, power steering, power brakes, everything that you would want in a car, and it had it in this car. So I worked really hard to convert all these things over to electric. So I would have electric AC, electric heat, power steering. You can get in the car and drive it. It was comfortable. The old car, while it was great and it was fun, it was brutal in the summer. I mean, Texas, imagine no air conditioning without any window tint. It was brutal. I mean, I was melting in the car practically. So this car was very key. And if that accident wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have gotten a chance to build this car and actually build all these other little accessories and have to go through and learn how to do all these things. There were solutions out there, but they were priced so high that it was just not even attainable. So when we talk about challenging that status quo, that's exactly what I was doing. And I was a bit more equipped now with my knowledge, and I thought, well, there's got to be better ways to do this. So that's what I went and did. And I came up with a better way to do air conditioning, better way to do a heater, better way to do all this other stuff, preheating the batteries and all this other cool stuff with it. So this is under the hood. This was a car that I built in 3 weeks, so it's not the prettiest looking, but it's a daily driver. Things come in and out of this car all the time. It's kind of the guinea pig for all the new stuff. So, I mean, it's got, the air conditioning, the same motor, same controller, and everything all under the hood. This is the daily driver that I have. And that's a picture of it charging there. So this is kind of the transition into when I started the company and how that accident was so pivotal back then, and how being forced to build this new Celica was so important. This box right here called the Systems Control Module, the SCM, this is kind of my signature product. And what it does is it simplifies all the wiring and the conversion, all of the small obstacles I had to face and little nuisances in the wiring is all in that box. The air conditioning, the power steering, the power brakes, heater, a preheater system, all this other stuff that I built into that Celica, the comfort and amenity features are all in that box. What that box is my knowledge of all these experiences and this whole journey crammed into one box, and that is being built and sold. So what it does is it really, not only does it simplify the wiring for me and my builds, which is the initial purpose of it, but now it's more geared toward the do-it-yourselfer and people that are converting these cars at home by themselves. So they can use this box with all these other components, and I sell them this kit, and they can actually go and build through the process, same journey that I went through, but a lot less painless. And obviously now I've learned what the right parts are, what components are best, what's good, what's not. And now I'm able to put together the component package that I know is the best and most safest and just best option on the market. And then tie it all together with my product that makes it all easier to install, and it makes a really nice package for the average person to put in. So everything that I've done so far has really been put into this little box, and that's where all these failures and all this, trial and error and learning all these little things comes into play. And that's how you can build some kind of product like that And then there's other things. I'm not an engineer, but I was able to learn CAD off of YouTube, and learn all these other different skills. So I've come up with adapter plates, and this is a custom flywheel, similar to the one that's in the Beetle. I've come up with my own displays, so doing graphics, simple graphics, and like the controllers and the communication stuff for all these products. These are all things that I built into the company, and transitioned more from just a conversion service to more of a product company blend. And then now we're branching off into other things. And what this product also does is it gives others, several of my customers have now started their own conversion companies. So it has simplified it so that now there's a smaller barrier to entry for anyone to actually get into this market. And it's also being used even in now some construction equipment that I've been working with some other customers on. So it not only does it help me and make a profit and is a product, but it's able to help others so that they can do the same thing. So that's the other side of it that I really enjoy as well. It's very fulfilling to see your product kind of have that trickle effect. And then this is the lightning bug that we all just saw. This is just some pictures before and after of the body, before and after the engine bay, what it looks like. So it's a pretty big transformation, and it was a great process. It was a lot less painless than the Celica, but there was obviously still obstacles there that I had to overcome. We had some issues and had to work through them. So, but anytime you're doing something big and worth doing, you're always going to have obstacles. So if you're not having obstacles, you're probably not doing the right thing. And then these are just some other resources that I had used along the way. Reddit's one that I've been using recently. Reddit is huge they just have everything there. DIY electric cars. Now there's a subreddit for it. I don't know if anyone's heard of Arduino stuff.
Anybody play with Arduino?
Yeah.
Are there any other platforms other than Arduino that you played in that same space?
Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Raspberry
Anybody
Pis.
build any applications? Like, did you build any applications yourself?
It was like a smart watering system.
Smart
Very
watering
cool.
system?
Watering.
I see.
Yeah.
And is that already built? Is that something?
It was for a robotics competition. It was just like a prototype, so I already broke it down.
So have you heard of the Arduino Mega? I'm sure. So the SCM is based around the Atmel 2560 chip. And I actually use the Arduino IDE to do all of that software. So I write all my own software and do all that. And it's all based around that product. So these are a lot of resources primarily.
So what did you build?
Well, it was for a competition. So they said build some type of security system. So what I did was I kind of built a force pressure sensor. So you could like place an object on it. And then as soon as you remove the object, like the sensor would alert you on your phone that like the object's been removed and things like that. So it's just like a home security system.
Very cool.
So, and it's worth noting too, Srini, that Adam on his very first car that we showed you all, he used Arduino to create biometrics. So you know how you need a key to start your phone, right? Well, you didn't need a key.
I'm sure you guys have seen those little fingerprint sensors. Yeah, so I use those fingerprint sensors in that car. And when you're 16, 17 years old at an auto competition at the state level, and you start your car with a fingerprint, people were just blown away. So you can use some of these things to do some really, really crazy things if you put them in the right place.
Exactly. That is what is the connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Which is like now, why should a 73 car be stuck in the 70s? We actually brought it to the 2000s, be an electric car. And then we take it even further, right? Which is like, biometric authentication and the keyless, kind of an experience. And then we can imagine even more things, which is like, perhaps, you can connect it to like a smart home or your work, you can actually behave differently when you're at home to work for different things. All these things are available for $5 or $10 without or Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. And
you can actually stitch all these pieces together. Now a car that's stuck in the 70s, it's like probably the state of the art car.
Yeah.
And it's an experience. So
So easy EDA, JLC PCB. Easy EDA is like a schematic. You could design PCBs. Some of you guys might have seen that before. JLC PCB, they actually make my SCM boards and do all the surface mount stuff on it. And they, you can have some of them made for like $5, $10. it's amazing to be able to just do it and get real PCBs for that amount. So these are all really great resources. YouTube, Google obviously are huge. A lot of my software and Arduino stuff has all been Google, YouTube, Reddit, things like that. But these are just, as far as the tech side of things, which is where, I mean, obviously rebuilding a car, there's a lot to that. But on the tech side of things, there's, certain things, I mean, you can't really do trial and error to an extent with that. You just have to learn some of the software and some of the hardware and things like that. But you still have the trial and error, but these are just some great resources that I use, especially when you're an entrepreneur. These things are really, really huge as far as building tech products or anything, even just power products, but anything electronic. These are definitely resources I recommend. And then just, a few final words on character and what it takes. I mean, if it was easy to be an entrepreneur, everyone would do it, but not everyone does it. As I'm sure you know, there's just tons of obstacles you never foresee happening. And then there's tons of great things you never foresee either. I'm now working with a company in South Africa to build some electric farm equipment for farms in Africa, believe it or not, all across the continent. I never years ago would have imagined that. I couldn't even have dreamed of that. So there's so many different things. I never thought I would have been doing electric construction equipment, and just different little things like that. I never would have seen that coming. So when you have all these obstacles that pop up, you also have a lot of good things that'll pop up too. So you have to I always keep that in mind. But it takes a lot of grit to do it. But if you've got something you're really passionate about, I mean, you got to go for it. And every time I would fail, I wouldn't give myself an option to quit. I would just tell myself, I have no choice. I need to continue this and pursue it. But that's a bit about my journey and my company. But thank you for listening.
So what we will do is, let's actually put a nice backdrop of lightning bug. What I'll do is I'll just do a quick role playing as an interview. I would like to know a little bit more deeper inside of who you are, and then we'll also engage with everybody.
Yeah.
So would you mind if I ask you some questions?
Yeah.
It was so with your passion for this building electric cars, you started building cars for yourself and for other people. So I would categorize something like, you're in the services business.
Yeah.
Right? You're in the services business.
Yeah.
And then as we look forward right now, you are in the product business.
Yeah.
Right. Now you're building the boards, and then you're actually shipping this, the SEMs and the PCBs to customers in South Africa to build in farm equipment and big trucks in South Africa and in different places.
Yeah.
Right. So this pivot from services to product, what inspired you?
So, I mean, it was primarily the building that Celica, the black car, and having all these other, necessities, the air conditioning, not necessities, but optional add-ons, the air conditioning, the heater, all these other things that took me so much work to actually figure out a better way to do it. I was just thinking, man, I mean, for customers that are doing these builds, there isn't anything on the market that makes it easy to do this. Every time you want to add power brake, power steering, you have to kind of re-engineer the wheel because there's no set path out there. And what this does is adds that path. So it's built to order. So you just check the boxes of which features you want. You get all the harnesses and all the parts, and you kind of plug and play everything together. And it was just a hole there that needed to be filled. There's nothing like it. There's still nothing like it on the market because of how much engineering and knowledge went into it. But that's what pretty much inspired that.
And this is actually, when we are building companies, there are different go-to-market opportunities. The first thing what we're doing is, what Adam was doing is, either taking a car that somebody is happy about, which is like a regular gas-based car, and then you move it to an electric. This is what we call it the services kind of a business, right? And he is making decent amount of money, particularly if you go after some of the wealthiest people that have fancy old cars, and then you can just upgrade them to electric, and then they pay you a lot of money. So that's a very profitable business. But if you look at it, number one, the ability to serve different people is very limited. Now there are so many other equipment, like the farm equipment and other things that also need this, and you don't have the manpower to go do everything by yourself. So now if you actually build this, all the parts, ready-made cookie cutter parts, like a DIY kit, do it your own kit. Now people that have the labor of building the car and so on and so forth, they can take all the core IP of the product, that is your unique engineering, and then you empower them to go build more of this stuff. So you suddenly expanded your entire market opportunity. And Adam doesn't have to spend that much labor of the time. In the services business, you are actually investing your own time to rebuild the thing.
And backbreaking labor.
Too. So there are two lines of business. One is people-centric, which is like a services business. And the other one is like the product-centric thing. Do we have some examples of other services business? Any other examples that pop out? What are in the services business? Like everything, like go to a hotel or in the retail or industry. They're all like they're serving you to create an experience, or go to a mechanic and all the things. But that's where it's a people as the product. The people are people are the products. They're actually providing the service to you, right? But here, what you've done is you created a product and you are now selling the product. What are some of the product companies? It's like iPhone, Apple, which is like, they do all the engineering once and they build one product, and then the product you actually scale. You have the ability to create more wealth by actually putting only one service. In the services business, each customer, you're actually doing the service. In the case of product thing, you do all the engineering once, and then you sell it, and then you reach more people. So these are the two different, kind of a go-to-market. Now, from an Adam standpoint, not only while he started in the services business, by consolidating all his core engineering and IP into the product side, now he expanded his business. Right. So that is one of the things. But the other thing is, now in the world, while products are also now trying to get into the services business too. So you can actually get profit from providing both. As an example, in the company that I built in the cloud stuff, we built cloud security and so on and so forth, but not many people know how to use this. So we used to actually build a services practice that we used to ship the product, and then we used to go sell the service so that people can actually use it to create the better outcomes. So you can actually make money or be successful by being the both product and the services. Like, for example, you build a smart watering solution or smart security solution. Depending on the complexity, you can actually now sell the product, and you can also create the services to actually go help take care of the homes and other stuff. Right? These are the two streams of this stuff. So fantastic that you actually were able to get that insight, and then now you're prosecuting both lines of business.
Right?
And then the second question that I would have for you is, okay, now you shared your own journey, right? How you went from a 12-year-old kid, took a J to J, Junkyard to J Leno, and then moving on, and now your services plus product business with customers worldwide. So now look at all the things. How could all these youth entrepreneurs, what could they take away from this journey? So if I were to ask the first question, how could they work with you or partner with you?
I would if you have an idea, I would just take it and just start somewhere with it. And just start off and try and build it, go full speed ahead and try and build it. And if it doesn't work, then, great, because that means you have a starting point and you can find what that problem is. And then you go and you fix it and get it running again until you have another problem. So I would just start the development. And I've never had anyone else do my own R&D. I mean, I do all my own development on the product, and even the SCMs right now are still pretty much built by hand. All the harnesses are built by hand. And so I would just start somewhere, take whatever idea that is and just kind of go for it and use some of those resources. If it's anything tech related, those resources will be huge for doing that.
Yeah, That's actually a good thing. It's a very generic thing, but let me ask you even more targeted thing.
Mhm.
Can any one of us, I call myself as also a youth, right? Can I come work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hiring any employees. 'Cause I'm not at that
Or
at that
contractors.
point. Yeah,
Just to learn the experience, right?
Yeah,
Can you teach, how
absolutely.
to build the SEMs or how to rebuild the cars? Is that
Yeah.
an opportunity that we could actually go do
yeah,
this?
I'd be happy to teach people.
Like
Like,
an intern, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my coding isn't that great. I mean, I just do it out of necessity, but I could teach whatever coding I have or hardware. I'm more of a hardware person.
Mhm.
And I'd be happy to share any knowledge I have, or how to get started into building your own hardware or software or anything like that. If anyone wants to go into the product side of things,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I think, if some of us have any passion for electric cars, maybe, I'll actually, and let me introduce my neighbor is one of the most significant youth that I know, youth entrepreneur, that's Steven. And so, perhaps, Adam and I would sign up and then we will probably build an electric car and we'll take one of those, red Beetles or, whatever the passion,
Sure.
and then we will try to learn the skill, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm very, very raw, but I think, I can actually surrender myself. So that's one.
Absolutely.
I think there are several opportunities where we can actually partner with Adam or likes of Adam, where we always have to look for opportunities on, can I actually work for you or can I partner with you? That's number one. Number two is based on your research, right? Now you looked at one niche market, like, Tesla and others, everybody's building the electric cars. But what Adam identified is a niche where, what about existing old antique cars? What about their fate? It's not everybody will want to have a Tesla. Can I actually restore the pride of, make the older car cool? So that's a niche market, which is actually he targeted, and then he's now with his product transition, he's also helping others, right? Now, the second thing is, while you're doing this, did you discover any other opportunities, any other electric opportunities that you said, like, I wish I could have gone after, but you didn't have resources? Are there any things that are adjacent to what you looked at?
I mean, anything, electric. I mean, golf carts have always been lead acid batteries for the longest time. I'm working on electric drop-in replacement for that, which drops from 400 to like 35 pounds, which is huge. So you can really cut weight, eliminate having to replace these things constantly, and have like a one battery that'll last the life of the golf cart. Let's see, I know so golf carts, home energy storage is another market I'm working on, and having a backup power system that's very small and compact and portable that can tie into your house and turn on power to everything. The construction equipment is a really interesting part. I like it because it's not cars and it's something new and different for me. And the customers that had reached out to me that were doing this, and they were really teaching me just as much as I was teaching them, which was really interesting. And I was really eager to learn because I knew nothing about construction equipment. So it was really neat to learn and be there with them and have my SCM and actually get to use it hands-on in the field. That was pretty interesting as well. And even like commercial lawn equipment. I'm going to be meeting with a startup this week to work with them and see if I can take my battery and my SCM and kind of help them with their transition. So there's so many avenues that you can go with, just, for example, in this market, and go out to all these other markets with the same skill set and kind of in the same space. And there's just so many ways that you can branch out from here.
And this is the deeper insight. So why are we moving towards electric? Because number one, we are running out of oil, the gas, and the gas is not, planet friendly. That's the unfair status quo. So now cars are the most, cars and, flights and, some of the things that we all know about, right? That market has been addressed by a combination of Musk and Adams and, all the people. But let's look around. What are all the other gadgets that come into our life that we interact with? They still use gas. Can anyone name other things that you've seen that use gas? Go ahead.
Like stoves.
Sorry?
Stoves and like.
Yeah, the stove is one of the things, I think, but some stoves are electric, but I think, we can actually that is using the natural gas, which is at least better than oil. But you can also come up with electric stuff. That's a good one. Are there others?
Snow plows and lawnmowers.
Exactly, lawnmower.
Lawnmowers, edgers,
Yeah,
chainsaws.
Chainsaws.
All kinds of
Yeah.
yard maintenance equipment, everything.
Exactly. So it is like, just look at this yard. There's a lawnmower, and then there's a tractor.
Yeah,
Well, who is actually doing an electrification of those?
yeah, farm equipment.
Right?
And I live in Canada, so the snow removal machines, I think.
Snow blowers.
Exactly, snow
Snow
blower,
blowers,
snow removing machines. So if you just start extrapolating this, now see how many possibilities have we created for ourselves.
Mhm.
How many possibilities have we created for us, right? By connecting to the deeper insight. This world is moving from oil to electric for better well-being. That's part of the designing excellence. In that design excellence, which is like, everybody looks at the electric, we look at Elon Musk and other things, and it's like, the market is down. That's just one small, tiny piece of the excellence that is happening.
And that's one thing I've learned is that, I mean, even the electric vehicle conversion little niche market has now gotten way more crowded than it was 2 years ago. All these small little companies that are popping up doing the same thing. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, there's the big guys out there. There's a ton of small ones out there and I'm with them there. But what other ways can I diversify my business into all these other different sectors so that just like your portfolio, you can have your business as diversified into different markets. So if one's underperforming, then you always have one to kind of balance you out. So there's so many different ways. And I mean, the electric vehicle stuff is awesome and exciting, but I mean, I'm right now more interested in all these other markets, which I think would be just unheard of. I mean, having an electric garden tractor and things like that.
And if I could add to what Adam is saying, he could even take that one step further one day and create videos and training that he could sell online, right? And have a whole other market.
The e-learning kind of stuff, the LMS. So people can create experts who want to go create this, somebody could be starting a business of, lawnmower electric or wood equipment machinery. So each one of them need a proprietary understanding of what that equipment, what is the right, the SCM board and so on and so forth. And then you can actually create a learning and profit from that. So this is an example of a journey, an entrepreneurial journey that actually unleashes so many us to discover, number one, sight to insight, which is like, it's not just about Adam's journey, but then from there, the insight is, okay, what did it actually help us, teach us, and then unleash so many unfair status quos that we could profit from by doing the design, right? And then this is in the world of electric. But if you then take it one level up, there are so many unfair status quos around us. And the same journey, look at it as a junkyard. The junkyard car is nothing but our playground. It is like a God-given gift for us to like, please come and help me and profit from yourself and help yourself with solving this, right? Everything from, people talk about pollution or trash. And if you start just reimagining this as like, there's an opportunity and then we can actually profit from it. So the first and foremost thing is, thank you, Adam, so much for this. And we're going to look at many different examples of similar journeys in different realms. And what it does is, how many people are playing with AI, artificial intelligence? Okay, cool. I mean, it's like, now I need to be careful. So somebody knows AI. So, but the thing is, these kinds of data sets, the examples, create a wiring in us to, again, go look at what are the problems, but the problems essentially becomes an opportunity. And then you go from a better state. And then the execution muscle, then how do you come up with a business plan and then, go execute it and then go at it, right? The most important muscle, character muscle that we need to have is bias for action. Which is like most of the time, a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't really go down to the level of detail. It doesn't translate from subconscious thought to doing something about it. It's only when we start doing things, the world starts manifesting itself to help you. And if Adam only looked at the first what's his name? Your guru,
John Whalen.
John Whalen. And only looked at it, it's just like, oh, how did he go from 0 to 60 in 1.5 seconds? And if that is the only thought that resided in and stuck to that YouTube video, this wouldn't have manifested. The thing is that subconscious thought manifested into an action. That action is like, getting a junkyard car and then starting with it. And then there is a theory of alchemist that actually come in. Then the universe reorients itself to actually facilitate. Then whatever we might want to call it, divine, God, and all that stuff, is nothing but a universe energy. We basically see it's like, oh, here is a vessel that is wanting to really do something about it. And then it's just like, okay, let me fill into that vessel. The energy is going to simply get into the vessel and then start is like, okay, here is how you can actually do the body work. Here is how you can put a battery. Here is how you can actually get a beetle. Here is how you can actually get into a product company. It is actually not Adam actually did it. There is an energy that filled into his vessel because he prepared himself from the original inception of an idea to then letting the actions. He is only making an intention, determined intention, action. And that is the muscle that we need to build. So that is kind of a quick overview. And then what we can do is I'm going to cover a few more things and then we're going to wrap it up, and then we'll have Adam and everybody will go take a look at Carl, and then have final Q&A. And then anybody, you're free to hang around as much as you can, and then we will.
Will there be an opportunity to ask Adam a question?
Yeah, of course. Why don't you go at it while I'm bringing up? Please go ahead.
So, Adam, my name is Priya. I'm product owner, / associate product manager from a software engineering background. So I was a bit of a science nerd in school myself. So this is really exciting. And I think kudos to you for actually acting on it. And I think what you're doing is making a real difference, because I'm very passionate about the environment as well. So what you're doing is making it's a lot of good karma that you're gathering for yourself there. So I have a question. So when you are you collaborating with other people to build upon the features, and how do you go about it? How do you go about an idea? Are you working? Do you have like a roadmap that these are things I want to add? Do you prioritize, or do you work with other people, or are you doing most of the development yourself?
I actually do all of the R&D myself, believe it or not. So I'll do all my own software and hardware development and the trial and error and implementing all the new features in. So I do all that myself. I am getting to the point where some of the features I want to add are just outside of what I can do. So that's where I'll be looking to partner and maybe get some
contract and other
contracts and do some more stuff like that to really advance it to where I foresee it to go.
And then Adam and we were talking about using some other tools like Asana and other things that will also help us to prioritize the execution. And we are also working on some of the constructs of a business plan and which stream.
I work for free for you, Adam, on weekends. So I work with Jira and Asana regularly, and I want to be part of something like this. So I don't need monetary compensation.
Okay.
But
the lawnmower business. Let's make Priya the product manager.
And I think if you can integrate, like in a state like Texas where you have a lot of sunshine, if you can integrate some kind of a solar energy with your electric cars, I think that'll be wonderful too.
Absolutely.
I'm offering you for free. I can handle your product backlog management and so on if you want me to.
That's cool.
Thank you.
So we'll do one small experiment. It's again part of the character thing, and I will just see it. We don't know what it's going to manifest. So let's everybody see. Are there any other questions or comments? So now
I have a quick question. I know we are running short. Very quick question. So thank you for sharing the inspiring journey. I did want to ask you, right, like when you look back 10 years, right, and if you have an opportunity to redo your journey, are there any things you would do different?
Well, that's a good question. I don't really get asked that often. What would I redo? I wouldn't redo a whole lot because I know while it was a very difficult process, I know that with the amount that I've learned, I wouldn't be where I am today if that wouldn't have happened. So I don't know how much I would change. I do think I would have done a little more research ahead of time before I started the car. I think that would have helped a lot. I was definitely on a budget, doing things very cheap, so maybe not be as cheap with it. But one thing I did, I mean, halfway through, or maybe a little more than halfway, I mean, I got very discouraged with the whole project. And mom and dad know I got to the point where I was just on one thread and really just wanted to throw in the towel. And one issue with all that is through all the failures, it's very frustrating, but I had allowed that to, this is where, you talk about controlling your mind is so important. I had allowed that to really ruin the experience of what it was to build this project. And now this project had really turned into a chore and a burden. It's something that was more negative for me. So having that pivot in my life where I really I had to remember, this is supposed to be fun. This is not supposed to be a burden. This is not a job right now. So that is one thing I definitely would have, changing that outlook from the beginning would have been the best thing I could have done. And I know that it would have just helped from that point, but having a really good attitude or remembering what you're doing and remembering your passion would definitely be the biggest thing I would change.
Awesome, my friend.
Thank you.
That's a great way
Thank
to,
you.
just like, so this is, I mean, I'm really working very hard to convince Brett and everyone to go work for Adam, but I think Priya beat me to it. So here is a small experiment, like a 1 to 2 minutes experiment that we want all of us to surrender to it. So here is an experiment of how good is our hearing, right? This is an experiment of how good is our hearing, right? So what we're going to do is we're all going to close our eyes. Then I'm going to ring a small bell. We all need to go heighten our sense of hearing to count it within your own thing. And how long can you actually connect to the sound, this sound, right? And then after we open some time, then everybody just say the count, like, how many this thing, and we're going to do it about 3 times. Okay.
So you want us to count the number of times you hit the gong, or
the number of no. Silently, don't say it loud. Silently, you basically connect to do your own number counting, right? And then see how many counts that you can actually hear the sound, the tiniest detail, right? Whatever. So what do you think is the sound? Okay, everybody, please start. And if you can actually take a deep breath, and I think that helps you. Take a deep breath and exhale. Close your eyes, please. Now ready. Do it one more time. Take another deep breath. One more deep breath and exhale. Release. So let's start with Switzerland. What was your count?
I got to 19 on the first 2, and then 16 on the third.
I got 17 on the first 2 and then 16 on the last one.
18, 17, yeah, 18.
15, 14.
18, 16, 14.
Yeah, 18, 16, and 17.
18, 17, 15.
Wow, that's so cool. Anybody else want to volunteer your numbers?
Sure, I had 19, 17, and 13.
I had 18, 10, and 10, so I know my hearing's
I see. So the best part is all are great answers. And this is basically, it's like when this is a skill called dharana. It's a concentration game. So whenever our mind gets scattered into too many different things, one of the techniques and the tools that you can actually do is you focus on one sense. Most of the time, because eyes actually distract you so much, you can actually close your eyes and identify with one sound and then go deep with it. Just go deep with it. And the more you actually the longer you can actually do it, there's a finite detail of the sound at the last minute. And you can actually be one with that. And then when you practice this like 3 times or 4 times, your mind's concentration capabilities increase dramatically. So that is one of the skills that we can actually incorporate in every practice. And particularly when you're challenged, when Adam is building a car, when things are going this, the best part is don't go operate in that moment to go solve a problem. The best way to solve the problem, first, you need to get the mind into a clarity state. So you have to deflect and then equate with the sound, or you can even, play with your touch or smell or any one of those things. And then we can actually do it. This is actually not my technique. This is actually proven in the science. But there is an age-old sage about, I think, 2,500 years ago or something. He basically said in Sanskrit, Vishayavativa pravrittirutpanna manasa nibandhanani. That's a kind of a Sanskrit way of saying it. But it basically is like, focus your mind on one sensory perception and then go deep with it. That's how you can actually build the concentration stuff. So, and then the last one is, this is another invocation prayer. We'll end with this. And I'm going to chant it, and then I'm going to explain the meaning. But this is the journey of an entrepreneur. This is the journey of an entrepreneur. What it basically says is, let me first sing it. Om asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma mritangamaya om shanti shanti shanti. What it actually means is the first line. We go from untruth to the truth. The untruth is the world of status quo. This problem opportunities. That's not the real truth. It's like, our journey is from going from untruth to the truth. Truth is like excellence, like what Adam did, Junkyard to Leno. That is the journey. And then the second line, it says like, go from darkness to the light. Again, darkness is not our identity. We just have to get to excellent state. And the last one is mortality or death. Again, that's not truth. By creating these companies, by creating the excellence, we are eternal. We go from finite to infinite. And that's our true identity. And we represent peace and oneness. So again, thank you all for a wonderful first kickoff session. And we're going to reflect on more journeys. We're going to go from untruth to the truth, and we're going to design more status quos to excellence. So with that, thank you all. Thank you, Priya. And then we'll connect again. Bye.